My beloved, if only you knew, if only you could see what heaven sees in you. There is a life, a glorious life, waiting for you, yet so many live beneath their privilege, beneath their destiny. But listen to me, because in just 1 week I saw it, I lived it. 5 simple habits transformed everything, and I tell you, if you open your heart, they will do the same for you. 1. The habit of speaking life. The words you speak are seeds. Oh, how many of you are cursing your own destiny without knowing it. I can't, I won't, I'll never. And heaven hears it. But when you change your words, when you declare, I am chosen, I am strong, I am walking in my divine purpose, the very foundations of your life begin to shift. 2. The habit of daily surrender. There is no victory without surrender. You say, I want change, but have you laid it all down? I tell you, 1 moment of true surrender is more powerful than a lifetime of struggle. When I learned to wake up and say, Lord, I am yours. Lead me. Use me. The doors that were shut flung open. 3. The habit of stillness. We rush, we strive, we fill our minds with noise, and we wonder why we do not hear from God. But when you quiet your soul, oh my dear friend, when you learn to be still, you will hear whispers from eternity. And in those whispers, you will find the answers you have been searching for. 4. The habit of overflowing gratitude. Nothing changes the atmosphere of your life like gratitude. Nothing. Do you wake up complaining, or do you wake up saying, thank you, Lord? Because when you begin to praise, when you begin to bless the name of the Lord with every breath, miracles start moving in your direction. 5. The habit of bold action. Faith without works is dead. You have the dream, you have the vision, but will you move? I tell you, in just 1 week, everything changed for me because I refused to wait another day. I stepped out. I acted as if the promise was already mine. And when I did, heaven backed me up. The words you speak are not just sounds, they are seeds that shape the reality you live in. Every word you utter carries power. Power to build or to destroy, to heal or to wound, to bring life or to bring death. Most people go through life speaking carelessly, unaware that their words are actively creating their future. They say, I'm so unlucky, I'll never be successful, nothing ever works out for me. And then they wonder why their lives remain stagnant, why they continue to struggle, why opportunities seem to slip through their fingers. But, my dear friend, I tell you today with absolute certainty, your words are shaping your destiny whether you realize it or not. And until you change the way you speak, you will never see the transformation you desire. I had to learn this truth for myself. There was a time when I too spoke without thinking, allowing negativity to spill from my lips. And I didn't even realize it. I would say, I don't know if this will work. I hope things change, but I doubt it. I feel like I'll always struggle. And do you know what happened? That is exactly what I experienced. My life reflected the words I spoke. But oh, when the revelation came, when I realized that every word I spoke was a seed being planted into the soil of my future, I knew I had to change the way I talked. And when I did, my entire life shifted, quickly, powerfully, miraculously. My beloved, you must understand that words are spiritual. They do not disappear when they leave your mouth. They go forth and create. Every time you speak, you are either releasing faith or fear, blessings or curses, life or death. The Bible says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. This is not just a poetic phrase, it is a law as real as the law of gravity. If you speak life, you will see life. If you speak defeat, you will see defeat. I have watched people sabotage their own blessings simply by the words they allowed to come from their mouths. They say, I'll never get that job, and they don't. They say, I'll never find happiness, and they remain in sorrow. But the moment they change their words, everything begins to shift. You may ask, but how do I change my words when I don't feel it, when life is hard and I can't see a way out? Oh, my dear friend, that is precisely when you must speak life the most. You do not wait until you feel like speaking positive words. No, you declare them even in the darkness. You say, I am blessed even when you feel broken. You say, doors are opening for me even when every door seems shut. You say, I am walking in favor even when you feel rejected. And let me tell you, when you begin to speak like this, things will begin to change. It is not magic. It is a spiritual principle. What you declare with your mouth, you will see with your eyes. I have seen this truth work in my own life and in the lives of countless others. I remember a woman who came to me, her heart heavy with despair. She had lost her job, her health was failing, and she had no hope left. And when she spoke, every word was filled with negativity. She said, "Nothing good ever happens for me. I will never get out of this situation. I feel like my life is over." I took her hands, looked her in the eyes and said, "You must change the way you speak. You must begin to declare the opposite." At first she resisted. "But I don't feel it," she said, and I told her, "You do not need to feel it to speak it. Speak it until you see it." She decided to try. Every morning, instead of saying, "I feel hopeless," she declared, "My future is bright." Instead of saying, "I will never get a job," she said, "Doors are opening for me." Instead of saying, "I am always sick," she said, "Healing is flowing through my body." And my beloved, within a week, just 1 week, things began to shift. She received a call for a job interview. Her health improved. Peace replaced anxiety, all because she changed her words. So I ask you today, what are you speaking over your life? Are you planting seeds of faith or seeds of doubt? Are you declaring victory or welcoming defeat? My beloved, if you want to see change, you must start with your words. Do not wait until circumstances improve. Speak life now. Speak blessings now. Speak as if the promise is already fulfilled. And watch as heaven responds. There is no true victory without surrender. Many people live their lives in constant struggle, fighting battles that were never meant for them to fight alone. They strive, they push, they try to control everything around them, and yet they remain exhausted, frustrated, and stuck. Why? Because they have not yet learned the power of surrender. My dear friend, I tell you today, the greatest breakthrough of your life will not come from more effort, more struggle, or more willpower. No, it will come when you finally lay everything down and say, "Lord, I surrender." It is not in striving, but in yielding that we find true strength. I have seen this truth play out in my own life. There was a time when I held on so tightly to my plans, my dreams, my desires, thinking that if I just worked harder, prayed harder, or pushed harder, things would finally come together. But instead of progress, I faced more resistance. Instead of peace, I felt anxiety. Instead of clarity, I found confusion. And one day, in the quiet of my soul, I heard that still, small voice whisper, "Let go. Trust me." Oh, how difficult it was at first, because everything in me wanted to hold on, everything in me wanted to figure things out on my own. But I reached a point where I knew I could not do it anymore. And so, with tears in my eyes and faith in my heart, I surrendered. I said, "Lord, not my will, but yours be done." And my beloved, from that moment, everything began to change. When we surrender, we are not giving up, we are giving in to a power far greater than our own. We are stepping out of the realm of human limitation and into the realm of divine possibility. You see, God cannot fully move in a life that is still trying to control everything. He will not force his way in. He waits until we are ready to release our grip, to trust him completely, and the moment we do, his power is unleashed in ways we could never imagine. Beantwords. I have spoken to so many people who are weary from the weight of their own burdens. They are trying to fix things, trying to make things happen in their own strength, and they wonder why they feel so tired, so drained, so lost. And I tell them, you do not have to carry this alone. You were never meant to. But surrender is not just saying the words, it is a heart posture. It is waking up every day and choosing to trust, even when you do not understand. It is saying, "God, I place this situation in your hands," and then refusing to pick it back up again. There was a woman who came to me desperate for a breakthrough. She had done everything she knew to do, prayed every prayer, tried every method, yet nothing was changing. "Why isn't God answering me?" she asked with tears in her eyes. And I looked at her and said, "Have you truly surrendered? Or are you still trying to control the outcome?" She paused, then admitted, "I'm afraid to let go." And that is the problem for so many of us, isn't it? We fear that if we let go, we will lose control. But the truth is, we were never in control to begin with. God was always in control, and he is far more capable of handling our lives than we are. So she did it. She surrendered. She let go of her own plans, her own timeline, her own fears. And within days, the very thing she had been praying for began to unfold in a way she never expected. The answer had been there all along, waiting for her to stop striving and start trusting. My beloved, what are you holding on to that God is asking you to release? Is it a dream, a relationship, a fear, a past mistake, whatever it is. I promise you, when you finally lay it down, you will not lose. You will gain. You will gain peace. You will gain clarity. You will gain divine intervention. Surrender does not mean we stop taking action. It means we stop forcing things to happen our way. It means we do our part and then trust God to do His. It means we release the timeline and allow Him to unfold things in His perfect way. And when we do, we step into a flow of grace, a supernatural ease, where things begin to fall into place without the striving, without the struggle. I tell you today, whatever is weighing you down, whatever you have been holding on to so tightly, let it go. Give it to God. Trust Him and watch how He moves in ways you never expected. For the greatest victories are not won in our strength, but in our surrender. The thoughts you think and the words you speak have more power than you can possibly imagine. They shape the direction of your life, determine your future, and influence everything that happens to you. Many people live their entire lives trapped, not by circumstances, but by their own thoughts and words. They wake up in the morning and immediately begin to rehearse negativity in their minds. I am not good enough. Things never work out for me. I will never be successful. And then they wonder why they continue to struggle, why doors remain closed, why they never seem to break free. But my dear friend, I tell you today, if you can change your thoughts and your words, you can change your life. I remember a time when I was bound by negative thinking. I didn't even realize it at first. It was so natural to think small, to expect the worst, to assume things would not work out for me. I would pray for blessings, but in my mind, I would immediately think, well, I hope something good happens, but it probably won't. And do you know what? That was exactly what I experienced. One closed door after another, frustration after, but one day I had a revelation. I realized that my thoughts and words were working against me. Instead of partnering with God, I was unknowingly blocking my own breakthrough. And the moment I decided to change, everything shifted. You see, thoughts are seeds. Every thought you allow into your mind is planted in the soil of your heart. And whatever you plant, you will eventually see in your life. If you constantly think negative thoughts, if you constantly meditate on doubt and fear, then that is exactly what you will harvest. But if you fill your mind with faith, with expectation, with the promises of God, then your life will begin to reflect that. I have seen people break free from years of struggle simply by changing the way they think. I have seen doors open, miracles unfold, and destinies shift because someone decided to align their thoughts with God's truth rather than their fears. The enemy knows this truth better than most people do. That is why he works so hard to fill your mind with lies. He whispers, "You're not worthy. You'll never make it. You're too broken, too late, too weak." And if you believe those lies, they will become your reality. But my beloved, today I tell you, you have the power to reject those thoughts. You do not have to accept everything that enters your mind. You can take authority over your thoughts. You can choose what stays and what goes. Just because a negative thought enters your mind does not mean you have to entertain it. You can replace it with truth. This is why it is so important to guard your words as well. Your words give life to your thoughts. Whatever you speak, you strengthen. If you speak fear, fear will grow. If you speak doubt, doubt will take root. But if you speak faith, faith will rise. When I learned to align my words with what I wanted to see in my life rather than what I feared, things began to say, "I am equipped for every good work." Instead of saying, "Nothing ever changes for me," I said, "Doors are opening in my favor." At first, it felt unnatural. My circumstances didn't immediately reflect the words I was speaking, but I kept declaring it anyway, and over time, I began to see what I spoke come to pass. I remember meeting a man who had struggled for years to get ahead. Every time something good would start to happen, something bad would immediately follow. He was convinced that he was cursed, that he would never succeed. And every time he spoke, it was negativity. "I can't catch a break," he would say. "Things always go wrong for me." I told him, "You must change the way you speak. You must start declaring life over your situation." He resisted at first, but eventually he decided to try. Every morning he began saying, "I am blessed. Good things are coming my way. I walk in favor." And within weeks, things started changing. Opportunities came. The right people entered his life. The cycle of struggle was broken. Why? Because he changed his thoughts and words. My beloved, I ask you today, What are you allowing into your mind? What words are you speaking over your life? You cannot afford to be careless with your thoughts and words. They are shaping your destiny. If you want to see change, it begins in your mind and on your tongue. Choose today to think thoughts of faith, to speak words of victory, and watch as your life begins to align with the power of truth. Gratitude is not just an emotion, it is a force that has the power to change everything in your life. Most people wait until they have something to be grateful for before they express gratitude, but that is not how it works. Gratitude is not just a response to good things, it is the key that unlocks good things. When you live with the heart of thanksgiving, even before you see the blessing, you invite favor, joy, and miracles into your life. But so many people live in the opposite spirit. They wake up complaining. They go through their day focused on what is wrong. They speak about their problems more than they speak about their blessings. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why nothing seems to change, why they remain in a cycle of frustration. My beloved, I tell you today, if you want to see your life shift, if you want to open the floodgates of favor, begin with gratitude. I learned this lesson in one of the most difficult seasons of my life. Everything seemed to be going wrong. I was praying, I was believing, but I was also complaining. I was focusing on what I didn't have instead of what I did. And one day, in a moment of desperation, I heard that still, small voice say, "Have you thanked me?" It was such a simple question, yet it cut straight to my heart. Because the truth was, I had been so focused on what I lacked that I had forgotten to be grateful for what I had. Right then and there, I made a decision. I would not wait until things changed to start giving thanks. I would start now. I began to thank God for everything. I thanked Him for breath in my lungs, for a new day, for every little blessing I had overlooked. And something incredible happened. My situation didn't change overnight, but my heart did. My perspective shifted. I began to see life differently, and soon after, doors started opening, blessings started flowing, and breakthrough came. But it all started with gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus. The human mind naturally gravitates toward what is wrong, what is missing, what is lacking. But when you intentionally choose to give thanks, you retrain your mind to see abundance instead of lack, to see opportunities instead of obstacles, to see blessings instead of burdens. What you focus on expands. If you focus on problems, they will consume you. But if you focus on gratitude, you will begin to see solutions, breakthroughs, and miracles unfold before you. I once met a woman who was deeply discouraged. She had faced setback after setback, and she felt like her life was falling apart. When she spoke, all I heard was negativity. She talked about how unfair life was, how nothing ever went her way, how she was always struggling, and I told her, "You must change the way you speak. You must change the way you see." I challenged her to wake up every morning and list at least 5 things she was grateful for, no matter how small. At first, she resisted. "I don't have anything to be grateful for," she said. But I told her, "You are breathing. You are alive. That alone is something to thank God for." So she started, reluctantly at first. But as the days went by, something shifted. She found herself smiling more. She felt lighter. And within weeks, things in her life began to change. Not because her circumstances had shifted yet, but because she had. And soon after, the very things she had been struggling with began to turn around. Gratitude is not just about what you say, it is about how you live. When you develop a habit of thanksgiving, you create an atmosphere for miracles. I have seen people go from lack to abundance simply by shifting their perspective, from complaining to gratitude. I have seen impossible situations turn around when someone decided to thank God in advance before the breakthrough came. There is something about gratitude that attracts the supernatural, that releases favor, that opens doors no man can shut. Some people say, "I will be grateful when things get better." But my beloved, that is not how it works. You must be grateful now. Gratitude is the key that unlocks the very thing you are waiting for. It is easy to give thanks when everything is going right, but true power is in giving thanks when everything seems wrong. It is in lifting your hands in praise even when you feel like crying. It is in declaring, "God, I thank you," even before you see the answer. And when you do, something shifts in the spirit. Battles begin to turn in your favor, chains begin to break, doors begin to open. Because a heart that is filled with thanksgiving is a heart that is ready to receive. So I ask you today, what have you been focusing on? Have you been magnifying your problems instead of magnifying your blessings? Have you been complaining instead of giving thanks? If you want to see change, start with gratitude. Wake up each morning and declare, I am blessed, I have more than enough, I walk in favor. Even if you don't feel it yet, speak it anyway. Give thanks for what you have and watch as more is added to you. Because the secret to a life of abundance is not in getting more. It is in appreciating what you already have. Gratitude is the key. Gratitude is the answer. Gratitude is the doorway to the miraculous. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. So many people desire change, they long for transformation, they pray for breakthroughs, yet they are unwilling to establish the habits that will lead them there. They wait for motivation, they wait for inspiration, they wait for some great sign to push them forward, not realizing that true success is built in the unseen moments of daily discipline. You do not rise to the level of your desires, you rise to the level of your habits. If you want to see lasting change in your life, you must be willing to commit to discipline, even when you do not feel like it, even when no one is watching, even when it seems like nothing is happening. Because what you do consistently, day in and day out, will determine the course of your destiny. There was a time in my life when I struggled with inconsistency. I would get excited about a new goal, a new dream, a new vision, and for a few days or weeks I would give it my all. But then when the excitement faded, when challenges arose, when results didn't come as quickly as I expected, I would slowly lose momentum. I would convince myself that maybe it wasn't meant to be, that maybe I should try something else. And so I remained stuck in a cycle, always starting but never finishing, always hoping but never seeing results, until one day I realized the truth. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline is what carries you through. If you rely on how you feel in the moment, you will never be consistent. But if you commit to discipline, you will see progress, even when you do not feel like it. Discipline is not easy, but it is always worth it. It is waking up early when you would rather sleep in. It is showing up when no one else does. It is putting in the work even when there are no immediate rewards. It is choosing to do what is necessary over what is comfortable. And over time, those small daily actions compound into something extraordinary. Many people look at successful individuals and think they must have some special talent, some unique advantage. But more often than not, their success is not the result of one big moment. It is the result of years of small, disciplined actions that no one saw. I have met people who have prayed for breakthroughs but were unwilling to change their habits. They wanted financial success but refused to be disciplined with their spending. They wanted a stronger relationship with God but were inconsistent in their time of prayer and devotion. They wanted better health but ignored the need for discipline in their diet and exercise. And I tell them, you cannot expect results where you have not planted seeds. If you want to see change, you must be willing to do what is required. One of the greatest enemies of discipline is excuses. I'm too tired. I don't have time. It's too hard. These are the words that keep people bound in the same place year after year. But my beloved, let me tell you, there will always be a reason to delay, to procrastinate, to avoid taking action. But if you wait until conditions are perfect, you will never start. There will never be a perfect time. There will never be an easy path. You must choose to be disciplined despite the obstacles, despite the challenges, despite the setbacks. Because discipline is not about convenience. It is about commitment. I once spoke with a man who had a vision for his life, but he struggled with follow-through. He had dreams, he had ideas, but he lacked consistency. He would start strong, but then he would stop when things became difficult. He asked me, how do I stay disciplined? And I told him, you must decide that your vision is worth the sacrifice. You must anchor yourself in purpose rather than feelings. Because feelings change. Some days you will be excited, other days you will feel like giving up. But if you are rooted in purpose, if you understand why you are doing what you are doing, then you will remain disciplined even on the hard days. Discipline is a decision. It is not something you are born with, it is something you develop.